Okay, it is 6 o'clock. Good evening. I hereby call to order the March 26, 2020 Emergency Call Board meeting by teleconference of the Crowley ISD Board of Trustees and certify that we're in compliance with the provisions of Section 551.041 and 551.045 of Texas Government Code, pursuant to public notice of this meeting and as allowed by the Texas Attorney General issuance of temporary suspensions to certain open meetings laws due to the COVID-19 epidemic and closure. I request the official roll call, please. Mr. Kirshner.
Yes, ma'am. Nedra Robinson, trustee place 1.
Present.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Dr. Latanya Woodson-Mayfield, trustee place 2. I believe Dr. Mayfield's there. We'll come back to her to make sure she's on. Mia Hall, trustee place 3.
Present.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. June W. Davis, trustee place 4.
Present.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Ryan Ray, trustee place 5.
Present.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Gary Gracia, trustee place 6.
Present.
Thank you, Mr. Gracia. Lindsay Benton, trustee place 7, and Ms. Benton is absent and unable to be here tonight. Superintendent Dr. Michael McFarland.
Present.
Thank you, Dr. McFarland. And let's go back to Dr. Latanya Woodson-Mayfield, trustee place 2. Can you hear us, Dr. Mayfield? Ms. Davis, I'll follow up with Dr. Mayfield.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kirshner. Thank you all for joining our teleconference this evening. We have dozens of district and campus administrators who are on this call, which is also open to the public to join. We are thankful for the technology that allows us to conduct this meeting by teleconference, and we appreciate the Texas Attorney General temporarily suspending certain open meeting laws to allow us to meet this way during this health crisis. We have important business to attend to this evening. I would ask that you be patient with us as we conduct our meeting in this new format. Please ensure your phones are muted. If you experience any technical difficulties, please send a text message or email to Mr. Kirshner. Our first agenda item tonight, 2.1, is an update on the continuity of Crowley ISD services during the COVID-19 emergency. Dr. McFarland.
So, Madam President and board members, we definitely want to say just thank you for being patient with us as we have kind of walked through the implementation of our phase 1 of our COVID-19 response plan. Before we get into the plan in detail, I would like to have Attorney Alexander just speak to the specifics, or really speak in general to the stimulus package that's recently been passed. It will have implications from a financial standpoint on public education in Texas. And so I'll ask Mr. Alexander, I know it's still early, but if you could just give us a high level of the stimulus package relative to COVID-19 and the economic package that was passed by the past NDC. Ms. Alexander.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, from what I was able to gather, so far the stimulus package is going to deliver about $30.9 billion for schools. And of that amount, $13.5 billion will be for formula grants to help students with help students and schools with what you're going through now with, the books and online things and all these extra materials, and to cover salaries and that to that effect. And then there's also going to be about 14.5 billion that's going to be allocated to higher education for similar reasons.
Okay. All right. And we will continue to, of course, we'll continue to monitor that to see what implications it may have for us as a district. We know that as we're implementing these plans, all these plans come along with a significant cost. And so we're being very intentional to document the costs that we're incurring. And the idea is that these costs will be reimbursed at some point in time. And so we're definitely hopeful as it relates to that. So what I'd like to do tonight, board, and really would like to kind of continue this process every Thursday until we're clear, is to really just give you an update of either what we've been working on or what we intend to work on in the prior week. Many of you have heard that Fort Worth has a council school, I think, until further notice. We are not at that point yet. However, we do have a call with Tarrant County mayor and judges and others. And so as we get closer and get more information, then we will begin to make the decision. Now, when I say we're not at that point yet, we're not prepared to go and make a public announcement of that fact right now. However, we are preparing plans that will take us through the end of the school year. And so we want you to hear these plans. We're preparing for the worst and just kind of following the information and directive of our public health officials, as well as our judges, mayors, and others. So we'll start just with the update on the continuity of services. Mr. Kirshner, I think we outlined kind of how we want to proceed, and so I'll allow you to call up each speaker as needed.
Thank you. Can you hear me, Dr. McFarland?
Yes.
Great. So yes, for our continuity of services report, we're going to start with our distance learning plan. Nicholas Keith and Ruby Batiste.
Thank you, Anthony. Good evening, Dr. McFarland, President Davis, and board members. So I'd like to take you through the 2 phases of distance learning that have taken place in Crowley over the last few weeks. So we had our phase 1, which started with our COVID-19 website, and that's where we posted our digital learning resources, as well as some lessons of the day for students to go and keep their learning going during that initial 2-week closure. Starting on Monday, which is March 30th, we're beginning phase 2 of distance learning. So during phase 2, students will receive weekly lessons in a majority of their core content areas in grade 12. These will be delivered through Google Classroom. And these district lessons are being developed by teams of lead teachers, instructional coaches, and content coordinators. And so those will be delivered each week through Google Classroom so that students can work on those at their own pace throughout the week. The district lessons are split up into priority and supplemental lessons. We're encouraging, the expectation is that all students will complete the priority lessons in ELAR, math, science, and social studies. And then we're encouraging them to complete the supplemental lessons. We've structured each of the lessons the same way for continuity. And that's where you have a focus of the lesson, so what the lesson's about, something for students to read or watch, that's the new learning, and then a way for them to practice or respond. Each district lesson is structured that same way and is developed so it only takes about 25 minutes to complete each lesson. Teachers can also develop their own lessons for students, and they can use their own lessons to replace the district supplemental lessons if they feel like there's a specific content area that they need to address with their students. So overall, our goal has been to standardize expectations, streamline communication, provide instruction, and minimize stress for our families as we move into phase 2 of distance learning. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, are there any comments or questions?
Yes, I had a question. Mr. Keith, this is Mia Hall. As far as the lessons, I wanted to clarify the portion that you were speaking about, teachers' lessons versus district lessons. So the lessons that are going to be there on a weekly basis, these are district created lessons, but the teachers can substitute or supplement. That's the clarification I needed.
It's a great question. So the district lessons are split into 2 different parts. We have a set of priority lessons for each content area, and then we have a set of supplemental lessons for each content area. Teachers can replace those supplemental lessons with their own activities for their students.
Okay, and then my other question is the priority lessons, priority assignments, they are the ones that students should be trying to complete for sure on a weekly basis. And then the supplement would be if they had extra time or desired extra practice?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? I have had some real positive feedback from parents regarding the distance learning information that's online. So kudos to you and the staff.
Ma'am, thank you.
May I ask one more question, Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Keith, is there an expectation, like, is there grading that's going to be done on these assignments on a weekly basis? I'd had someone did reach out to me about that.
So right now, the state has just released some additional guidance on grading. So we're in the process of fleshing out exactly what that will look like. We won't be taking grades for sure during this first week of phase 2, mainly because we're rolling out that new system and we're still receiving that guidance from the state. So a decision will be made on that in the coming weeks.
Thank you again.
Okay, so
Mr.
now I
Keith,
haven't. Go ahead.
Mr. Keith, this is, I'm sorry, Ms. Davis. Mr. Keith,
okay.
This is Gary Gracia. I also want to thank you for the work that you have done. I've also received great feedback from parents saying that the information has been great. I also have a couple of parents that have said that they haven't received any dialogue from the teachers. Is there information, a place that if a parent has not received information from a teacher as of yet, where we can direct them to?
So the first contact definitely would be with the teacher through email, and then as a second course of action, we'll wrap back around with our principals and just reaffirm that we need all teachers reaching out to their students during this time.
Excellent. So via email, and then if not, we can, is there, we can call the school directly? Is that what is that what you're referring to?
So we can. I do believe that we have our campus secretaries staffing front offices right now. And so they
Okay.
staffing the number at least. And so they should be able to pass along any information to the principal who can then wrap back around with that individual teacher.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And also, Mr. Gracia, principals are on the call, are on this board call. So I think principals are hearing that we may have some teachers that have not made contact. So we'll follow up with that. But really, as everything else, they need to really contact that campus principal after that teacher. If that teacher has not been responsive, the first contact should be, via email to that campus principal for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, and it may just be as easy as, I mean, it could be in the spam, folder, and the parents just haven't seen it, you
Right.
know, all the way down to there was a typo for the email or something. So I'm not worried about it. I'm just saying that I have had people reach out to me. So I'll definitely pass this information along.
Okay. So
This is.
I do have another question based on something you said, Mr. Keith, about getting guidance about grading. And so I guess in there, my concern is that, of course, there will be students that will complete and get grades. And I guess in that guidance, it will include what happens for the students that don't receive a grade. Do you think?
I'm sorry, are you speaking to the guidance that's coming from the state or when we develop district guidelines?
Well, both. Because based on, I guess you'll develop your district guidelines from the state, but then will the district, I guess, have any allowances or something for the students that don't receive grades because they don't turn the work in?
So Ms. Davis, yes, we on next Thursday, what we'll have another call following up next Thursday. And by then we would have more information about what other districts are doing as it relates to grading. And of course, we definitely would have to take in consideration what happens to students who don't complete. How do we address that? What kind of, is there an alternative assignment? And so we'll look at all those different scenarios. But what we'll do is it'll be at next Thursday, we'll likely bring you back a recommendation of how we'll address all of those different scenarios.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you hear me before?
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, can you hear me? This is Ryan.
Okay, Ryan, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, okay.
Or I am.
Well, I'll just ask it. Are the online courses going to be for everything or just the core classes? You know, high school kids who have, you know, a number of courses. How's that going to be?
So, Mr. Ray, I believe the question was, are the online classes just for core content areas or beyond that? Was that the question?
Yes.
So the district is creating standardized lessons for a majority of core content areas, grades K through 12. And then we are offering, starting the week after March 30th, we'll start to also offer enrichment activities at the elementary level in those typical electives that a student would have. So like technology, physical education, music, art, and all those types of courses. And then our secondary electives teachers are setting up their own Google Classrooms where they'll assign activities directly to students.
Did that answer your question, Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Ms. Davis, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, this is Dr. Mayfield. I have a question for Mr. Keith.
Okay.
With the communication, and I believe Ms. Hall mentioned it, or maybe Mr. Gracia, but with the communication that's going out, I received an email today from a teacher that was very thorough, it was concise, it was inclusive of everything that you've mentioned, and it seemed to speak to everything that you were speaking of. And rather than all different messages coming from different teachers, is it possible to have one universal voice from the school regarding information such as that, and then only information about each class from those teachers? It's just until we get confirmed information about everything, it would be nice to have just one voice from the school. I don't know if that's possible, but I wanted to ask if what could happen in that case.
Yes, ma'am. So we have, this afternoon, we developed a video message with Dr. McFarland that will be going out. And then we'll also have a distance learning expectations video that's already been created and will be posted on our COVID-19 website. And it will also have some parent how-to videos on how to access and complete work in Google Classroom. And that will lay out all of the expectations for distance learning as a unified voice. So parents can go to one location to hear that information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there other comments or questions?
Yes, this is Nedra Robinson. Okay, I have a question to Trustee Mayfield's point. I have a child in elementary and one in the middle school, and so I received 2 messages about Zoom meetings from their teachers, and it's fine for me because we have multiple devices, but the Zoom meetings are on the same day at the same time for 2 different grade levels. So I want to know if it's possible for families like mine, if maybe one day a week is for math, one is for reading or something at the secondary level, to break it up instead of every teacher choosing the same date and time just for families that have to share devices.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. So we put together a set of 8 distance learning guidelines, and I can pass that along to get that communicated to you. Our distance learning guidelines, the 3rd guideline says that we are going to focus on asynchronous learning over synchronous learning. So what asynchronous learning means in online learning is more like a text message. When you text someone, they don't have to be there at the same time in order to receive your message. So in online learning, that would be like posting a video for a student to watch on their own time. Synchronous learning is exactly what you described, where students have to be in a certain location at a certain time in order to be part of something like a video conference. So what we recognized is that synchronous learning can cause that exact type of schedule conflict that you described. So as we move into phase 2, like I said, we've put these guidelines out to teachers. They are reviewing those, and we'll be focusing on asynchronous activities that students can complete on their own time. Now, that's not to say that a teacher couldn't host a Zoom call, an optional Zoom call just for the students in a class to see each other or have a chance to make a connection. But what it does mean is our focus is on posting resources that students can complete at their own pace based on their family's schedule.
Okay, does that answer your question, Ms. Robinson, or address your concern?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, so we're learning as we go and making changes as we need to. Thank you so much, Mr. Keith.
Ms. Davis, this is Anthony. That's a great transition into Ms. Ruby Batiste to talk about how we're making sure all students in Crowley ISD are able to, one, access distance learning and also be successful and thrive at it. And so Ms. Ruby is going to talk about that.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Board President Davis, Dr. McFarland, and Board of Trustees. Just like Mr. Keith mentioned earlier, expectations for our phase 2 of our distant learning is still in place for all learners in Crowley ISD. Google Classroom is going to be our launch educational platform for communication. And this will be communication for students receiving services under Section 504 of the Americans with Disabilities Act, our bilingual ELL students, our students who are also in career technology education, dyslexia services, gifted and talented, special education, our students who are on medical homebound, including our pregnancy-related services. So in order to keep what's called a continuum of services going for these individuals, our therapists and people like our dyslexia teachers and our special education teachers will still provide weekly contact, if not daily contact, with the students and their parents. No one will be going into the home to provide any type of treatment. That's been a question that's come up several times. We're not going into the homes. This will all be done via teleconference from using a telephone or Zoom or Teams platform. All of the educators will still continue to have virtual office hours. So if the parents need to contact them, they'll be able to email or call them by telephone for any questions that they may have. The teachers will still be available to guide students with helping them complete classwork so they don't get behind during this time period. So when grades do become a part of what we're doing, they won't be lacking in any grades. Also, the federal government, they haven't let up on any of our what is called a child find, meaning having to identify individuals who may be eligible for special education services within the Crowley ISD attendance zone. So our evaluation staff is working really hard to make sure that we are still able to evaluate students and help get them the services they need, even during these this education without walls time. So that is just a brief summary of what we're doing, and I would love to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for ensuring the special pops are getting the services and assistance they need. Are there any comments or questions for Ms. Batiste? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
All right, Ms. Davis and members of the board, now to talk about how we're going to make sure all of our students have access to technology to do this distance learning. Our Director of Technology is here to talk about our rollout of Google Chromebooks and hotspots across the district, Mr. Scott Campbell.
Thank you, Dr. McFarland, Ms. Davis, and board for your support during this time. Right now, I'd really like just to give a shout out to the techs who've been working really hard A lot of our people are at home right now because they're at risk, but we have a group of techs who have been there working tirelessly day and night, 10-hour days, and not complaining, just trying to get the job done, trying to get devices into the hands of students. We use Monday as a day to really develop our system and test our system. So distribution really started on Tuesday. As of this morning at open of business, we had 2,106 requests for devices. At the close of business today, we had fulfilled 1,944 of those, got them out to campuses for students to pick up. That's a 92% of all tickets in have been delivered to the campuses. The pickup rate at this point is about 68 to 70%. So at this point in time, we have 1,660 devices in the homes of Crowley students right now. As far as the hotspots go, those went quickly. We don't have any left. We are waiting for those to come in. I believe that Mr. Fisher is working on that. That should be maybe middle to end of next week. As soon as those get in, we'll get those out to students as quickly as we can. Our process that we used to distribute this was using the same food lines, 11 to 1 and 4:30 to 6. Our goal was this week to hit every campus at least twice, once in the AM and once in the PM. And as of end of close of business tomorrow, we will have hit every campus AM and PM. And we're doing the all the apartment complexes tomorrow as well. Parents are notified by a text or an email when the device is ready for them to pick up and what times they'll be ready for pickup. Next week, we hope as the number of tickets diminish, we're pretty sure Monday we'll be able to hit every campus every day. We'll split those between the AM and the PM pickup, and hopefully by midweek, if we can get enough volunteers, that we'll have every campus at the same time in the morning. We also have alternative pickups. They can come by the technology building if they can pre-arrange that with us. And we've had several parents actually arrange a time to come by the technology building and pick that up. Another thing that we've been really focusing on is the cybersecurity with the parents and with teachers and students at home. That is a different set of risk. We have our systems locked down. People don't have administrative rights. We have the current virus definitions on all the computers. That will really help with the ransomware and the Trojan horse type of issues. Another thing we rolled out was because one of the biggest issues in cybersecurity is the end user interaction with email and other websites. We rolled out KnowBe4, working with Stephanie Allen and the Professional Development Department. Rolled out KnowBe4, and that's a state-approved training. It's a 2-hour training that will make us help us be compliant with the Senate Bill 3834. And that's going well. We still have some people who haven't quite gotten there yet, but we're working on that. We can get them all compliant. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions?
I just have a quick question. If related to the devices, thank you for allowing the parents to come and pick those up. For parents that have that are not technologically savvy, is there anyone on staff or anyone available to help them if they need help even just getting started or logging in, or are we leaving it to the students to already know how to use these devices?
We have 3 people who are working from home, working help desk tickets, and our help desk number. That number is actually not really publicized. It is for teachers and staff. When parents call, I've told them when parents call, go ahead and help them out as much as you can. We want to be as helpful as we can. Most of the questions we have end up being password issues, which there's a link on the COVID-19 webpage for student password reset issues. But we have asked them to help them. I was talking with Mr. Keith earlier, and we have some options if we want to open up if we feel as a district it's important to open up a support desk for them as well, we can do that. But we still feel it's important that we prioritize the teachers and staff first, that they get the first priority when it comes to getting their technology needs met.
Absolutely, and I'll just comment too, my son's password expired, and it was a very, very quick turnaround to do that. So the instructions online were very helpful to him, and then the turnaround was very, very fast. So thank you for that.
Mr. Campbell,
Okay.
I definitely think that was a good idea for what Dr. Mayfield shared about having a parent help button. So let's see if we can just open up. I know with us starting this distance learning, the second phase on Monday, it would be good to have a button there where if a parent had a question, then they could go in and get help. So let's add that in addition to the password help.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Davis.
Yes.
This is Gary Gracia. I wanted to ask, first I wanted to say thank you for the tech department for helping out. I think this is an unbelievable project that is helping a ton of families get through this situation. The question that I had is that I wanted to see if we did have an ETA on the additional hotspots.
Yeah, Mr. Fisher had that. I believe it was April 4th or 5th. It's sometime late next week. It was
3rd. April 3rd.
The 3rd, okay.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all's help.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Well, I just want to reiterate to the board that it was your vision and foresight in allowing us to purchase these devices when we didn't have an immediate need for them that allowed us to have them now. So I definitely appreciate the board for taking those steps and really, last year and even the prior years. So we're in a pretty good position as it relates to that. And so we appreciate your board for at least trusting us and actually allowing us to implement the technology plan. Mr. Keith, I think you had some things to share.
Yes, sir. So board, I did want to point out that our distance learning phases, both phase 1 and phase 2, have been a huge team effort. I just wanted to point out that we've had easily over 100 people working on getting ready to roll out phase 2 next week. It includes our content coordinators, our instructional support specialists, our digital learning team, our communications team pulling together all our communications and messaging, feedback from our principals and teachers, working closely with our special education and our dual language departments, and then also our early childhood representatives. So I just want to be clear, this is a collaborative effort, and it's been all hands on deck and everyone on board to make sure that we're ready to go for next week. So just very proud of the work that this team has done.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the evidence is very obvious that a lot of work has gone into getting to where we are now, and then you're preparing for the weeks to come. So thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Ms. Davis, if I can make a comment, I did want to just applaud the team, because being on both sides, of course, receiving the information as a board member, but also receiving the information as a parent. I know that it's probably not all perfectly smooth on your side of the coin, but it looks great out here. And just receiving all the communication from the teachers around the same time lets me know that there is a concerted effort to get this information out. And I just appreciate the ease of use for me as well as a parent.
Okay, thank you. So thank all of you for sharing. And like I said, it's very good input, and adjustments will be made accordingly. So thank you. Mr. Kirshner?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Davis and members of the board, now to talk about some issues that we'll be bringing to the board later, and just some conversations we're having, especially affecting our secondary students, is Dr. Pamela Berry.
Okay.
Dr. Berry, can you hear us? We cannot hear you.
My apologies. Can you hear me now, Kirshner?
Yes, ma'am. There you are.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Dr. McFarland, President Davis, and board members. As many of these have stated before me, we have been just engaged in a variety of conversations with several members of our executive cabinet that have been doing research, as well as our high school principals, really centered around how this is impacting our seniors and the work that they put in over the course of their K-12 journey. So just want to first, as everyone else has, applaud that team for digging in and finding ways to continue to make things happen specifically for this group, but for all students as well. So as it relates to GPA and class rank as the first topic of conversation, our current board policy provides that we calculate students' GPAs and establish a class rank at the conclusion of the 5th marking period, which this year is scheduled to conclude on April 9th. However, TEA has provided some guidance at this time that recommends districts consider calculating GPAs and class rank at the conclusion of the 4th marking period. And so what this means for us and the consideration we would like to move forward with is that all Crowley ISD campuses, which would constitute our 2 high schools, Crowley Collegiate Academy and Global Prep, report their grades as of the end of the 4th marking period as indicated by TEA. That for us was on Friday, February 13th, which was about 2 weeks prior to spring break. We also know that we must consider many of our students are currently participating in dual credit courses at TCC. And these classes resumed this past week, and they are currently recording grades. TCC has been working with us to schedule their next round of grade submissions to be submitted on Friday, April 9th. And so what this team would recommend at this time as we consider GPA and class rank is that we would combine those 2 grades as we have done in the past per board policy. All grades from Crowley ISD campuses, which again consists of our comprehensive campuses, Crowley Collegiate Academy, and Global Prep, those grades are recorded as of the conclusion of the 4th marking period, which was February 13th, and grades from our dual credit courses will be received on April 9th from TCC and also included in the calculation of GPAs and class rank. I think I may stop there and see if there are any questions related to that topic at this time.
Okay, are there any comments or questions?
I just had one question. So essentially, Dr. Berry, there's really no difference in how we're calculating GPAs with regards to global prep and the dual credit partnerships. It's just the timing is different.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Hall. And so normally we would calculate all of those in the same manner at the conclusion of the 5th marking period, but because that is after spring break and after the delay in grading, we are recommending that we would calculate that at the end of the 4th marking period.
Okay, so at a very basic level for me, so the students that are not enrolled in dual credit, they are going to be missing a 6 weeks grade. Is that correct? As compared to the dual credits that will get theirs April 4th.
All grades will be, yes, ma'am. So all grades will be calculated at the after April 3rd. The grades that will be included in that calculation are all CISD grades up through the 4th marking period, as well as our dual credit grades. Dual credit grading did not end at the same time that our grades ended in Crowley ISD, so we had to find a time period where their grade reports would be fairly calculated as well.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Berry, with the grades coming out April 9th, and I'm assuming that like TCC and entities like that, they went kind of virtual a little bit sooner than we did, I don't know, to some regard. Do we anticipate there being any like, I don't know, like a huge disparity in grades or a change in grades from say the previous grading cycle to the April 9th grade? Do you understand like what I'm asking?
Great question. And we did ask that question as well. And one of the reasons, and my apologies, that date is April 3rd. And one of the questions that we asked was if we were to get those grades at the same time of our grading period, what implications would that have? And that was the exact response that we received, was that because their teachers, grade differently and at different times, they were not confident that to pull grades any earlier than that they would not have any disparities amongst their professors as well.
Okay, and I asked the question only because of the concern. I assume that any student that's already participating in those programs already have technology and things of that nature. I just didn't know if there was like a lag or a downtime where students weren't able to perform or participate that may have been impactful to their grades during, our transitions. That's the only reason I asked.
Great question. And we have that same concern and conversation, which is what moved them to the April 3rd date to ensure they did just start back up online learning on Monday. And so they felt like that gave their instructors also time to get everything that they needed that was submitted prior to spring break and really get us a clean set of grades so that their grades were not disparate as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Dr. Berry.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Dr. Berry.
Thank you. I believe our next topic is IGCs and TSI testing. And IGCs are individual graduation committees. These are designed and set up for students who have not passed one or more of their STAR EOC as a requirement for graduation. TEA has again provided some guidance this year that allows current seniors to graduate through the IGC process regardless of the number of assessments that they still need to pass. So in the past, if a student had not passed a set number of EOC tests, they could still graduate by going through this individual graduation committee. And now the state has released, regardless of the number of assessments they need, they can still take that number of IGC or go through that number of IGC processes. And so we are working right now with the high school principals, counselors, in order to set up those IGC meetings to determine how many students we still have that have not passed one of the STAR EOCs that was required for them to graduate last year, and get those in place in order for students to be able to do those virtually. Again, the parameters around who must be present have not changed, so we are working through how to get all of those scheduled and how to get their information to the seniors regarding what must be presented in a portfolio or a project that would demonstrate their mastery of the content, so that those will be approved prior to a graduation date, and those seniors would also be allowed to participate and graduate. As it relates to, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
And this TSI testing as well, that has been a big push for us as the district in getting all of our students TSI tested prior to or during their senior year. And the state again has given us some guidance on allowing TSI testing to be administered online at this time with the virtual proctor that they will provide. And so again, we're excited about that news. That will mean many of our seniors still get an opportunity or many of our students, we will start and give priority to the seniors, but many of our students will still have a chance to participate in TSI online. And so again, we'll be working with CNI and that team in order to set up times where students can participate in that opportunity.
Dr. Berry, what, if any, parameters have been established for students who may have been trying to recover credit for either performance or attendance?
So really in fact, we got a brief communication today that is saying that it's leaving that up to the campuses in terms of attendance. So again, we'll go back in and look to see what that looks like. The high school principals were also engaged in that conversation of, you know, what could that look like for students that were continuing to try to earn credit based upon this attendance. So we're still engaged in that conversation as we speak.
And do we also have students that, like, I don't know, you know, we use EduGents in Fort Worth. I don't know what we use in Crowley ISD. Are there students that are working to get credit recovery in that mechanism, that type of way in our district, trying to also meet requirements for graduation?
Yes, ma'am. So we do still have access to our Bridges program, which is the students that are typically housed with Mr. Muhammad. And so he is working on the Plan 1 for his campus, but they're also able to continue to access their programs, and we'll continue to look into that.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions? Thank you.
All right, and then I think the final senior topic, Ms. Davis and board, is prom and graduation. That seems to be a hot topic for our families, and we are really taking the approach. You will probably hear some language that is centered around delayed yet not denied, and we are definitely excited about the opportunity to continue to establish those opportunities for our seniors this upcoming year for both prom and graduation. I know that the high school principals, along with Dr. McFarland, we're preparing a video to go out to the kiddos this upcoming week that really communicates to them. We're going to do everything we can to ensure that they have the experiences that they have been looking forward to the last 12, 13 years of their journey here. And so at this time, our high school principals in their video are reaching out to the students and have provided a link for them to receive feedback regarding what could prom look like. We may not have the answers of exactly where and when, but we do know that we are committed to ensuring that those things occur for the kids, and we want to get their input as to what that could be for them. And then as it relates to graduation, we have continued to reserve the date of May 23rd was where we were previously scheduled for 2 o'clock and 7 p.m. for both graduations. However, knowing that we may not be lifted from the current environment that we are in, Fort Worth Convention Center has worked hard with Anthony Kirchner to secure an alternative date of July 25th at the same location. Crowley High School would be at 2 o'clock p.m. and North Crowley High School would be at 7 o'clock p.m. And so we wanted to share that information this evening as well, just for feedback.
And also, board, we know that it's kind of a ways down the way, but I would like to know if you have any kind of scheduling conflict on that date, because we would like to begin to share that. So if you have a scheduling conflict, please let us know before the end of the night. And you can send me a text or Ms. Montalvo just to let us know, because we like to go ahead and start to share that will be the backup date.
And that was July 25th?
Yes.
Okay.
May I ask a question about the July 25th date? Has there been any consideration for those who may have signed up or joined with the military, what those entrance dates? I thought some of them would be joining in July, so I didn't know if that had been considered.
So we really, I did not consider that when we were thinking. What we were considering, well, first we were looking at the reports that said, hopefully worst case scenario, July things should be better. And we wanted to pick the latest date in July we possibly could. And so we picked that weekend. We were trying to also dodge students reporting to college earlier. And so that was we picked the latest date we possibly could as a tentative date.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other comments or questions?
I guess my other concern, and Dr. Berry, it's probably already being handled, but I infer, is about helping seniors with college admissions or paperwork or any things that typically they would have received support for during this time of the semester.
Ms. Hall, no, thank you so much for bringing that up. I'll definitely add that to our list as we are daily adding those type of topics and really just brainstorming how we can show up best for kids. So thank you for that, and I will add it.
Thank you.
And also, board, as we are, our normal kind of cadence has been that we would be meeting with principals and others Friday, Monday, Tuesday, meeting collectively with the team on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we'll be reporting to you all on Thursday night. And so on next Thursday night, we'll report on these items that we're sharing right now. There's a lot of unknowns right now, but we want you to know we're thinking about these things as it relates to grades and class rank and all that. We'll be able to give you more information after we meet again this upcoming week. And so hopefully next week we'll have some definitive answers on those things.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to, this is Gary Grassi. I just wanted to thank, once again, Dr. McFarland, Dr. Berry, for the outstanding thought that has gone into this, because being a parent of a senior, my kid has actually cried several times thinking that they're not going to get a prom. They don't know about graduation, and I just want to thank y'all for everything that y'all have done on this. So thank you.
Absolutely.
So Mr.
Okay.
So other board members, again, I can tell you that our principals, the campus principals with Dr. Berry and others, they have actually led this. They were adamant about us doing something, because my comment to them was, well, give me a solution. And so they gave me a solution, and I gave them a slogan. That's what I do. I gave them a slogan: delayed, not denied, and they came up with the plan. So I appreciate the high school principals, Ms. Warfield and the others, for actually thinking creative about how we can take care of our students. So thank you all to the team for sure.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, other comments or questions? Okay, Mr. Kirshner.
Yes, Ms. Davis. Now with an update on our bilingual services and our language support programs is Ms. Maria Anguiano.
Good evening, President Davis, Dr. McFarland, members of the board. I do want to give an update on the steps that the department has taken to meet the needs of the English learners, as well as students in language programs such as in middle school and high school foreign languages. We have worked continuously with the communications department and providing both Spanish and Vietnamese translations of district information that has gone out on the website and letters and flyers and so on. We've also worked closely with the curriculum instruction department in providing both Spanish and Vietnamese instructional resources for students in dual language program. Our next step is going to be to ensure that making that content comprehensible as much as possible through language resources. One of the things that we did do upon immediately having our schools closed, we joined in with the curriculum and instruction department, and a link was added for the languages other than English, which are foreign languages and our world languages, onto the online support center. The links are to dual language, with which just today our French high school teacher had shared that his students are really enjoying those programs. Something else that I'm very happy to share is that after reaching out to Rosetta Stone, and if you're not familiar with Rosetta Stone, it is a language development program that provides access to students 24/7 online. And after reaching out to them, they have agreed to provide Crowley ISD with 9,999 free licenses up to June 30th. So we're very excited about that. Our first push out is going to be to our English learners and all of our students in dual language programs. Once we have completed that access with the technology department, We will be moving forward in providing access to middle school and high school students in foreign languages for Spanish, French, and German. And if you have any questions for me, I would be more than happy to answer.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, so would you talk again about the Rosetta Stone and what they have agreed to do for Crowley ISD?
Yes, ma'am. So Rosetta Stone, for those who are not familiar with it, it's a language development program, and they are on. Okay, and so what they have agreed to do for Crowley ISD is to give us 9,999 free licenses for our students up to June 30th.
License. Okay. Okay. All righty. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
How do students know how to access that that resource?
So what we will be pushing out is that we are going to put that through Clever. So the same way that they sign on to other programs, then they would use the same avenue.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. We'll move on now, Mr. Kirshner.
Yes, Ms. Davis and members of the board, we have two more members to present tonight. Next is Mr. Randy Reeves with an update on our food service and the distribution of breakfast, lunch, and dinner to students in our district, and also an update on the construction projects that are still underway across our district. Mr. Reeves.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. McFarland, Ms. Davis, members of the board. So I'll first start with our construction projects. As of right now, they're all currently on schedule. We began last week holding all the meetings through virtual means, but I can say that myself and Billy Owenby, our project manager, we continue to walk these job sites daily. There are items that need our attention that we need to look at, and it's requiring us to do so. If there are to be any delays, there could be some with the city of Fort Worth on how they permit, how they do inspections, but it's really too early to tell if that would impact our schedule any. We've just gotten the word this week of how they're going to operate, and so they'll have to close their doors and everything will be pretty much online with them. To give you a quick update to each site, so the operations facility, we're scheduled to move in furniture mid-April. For CTE, we're scheduled to move in furniture mid-May and still plan to get a CO for that building in June. The indoor practice facilities, the intent is to bring our GMP to the May board meeting. And then the district stadium, it is still in the early stages of design development. So with food service report, as you know, last week we served 25,719 meals, and we were doing the 3 pickups a day. So on Monday, we started the 2 pickups a day. So we were giving breakfast and lunch during the 11 and 1 hour and dinner during the 4:30 to 6. As of end of day Wednesday, so for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we had already sent out over 30,000 meals.
Wow.
So we are set to exceed 50,000 for this week. So one of the things I wanted to bring you up to date on with TDA, just today they gave approval to allow us to give meals to parents without the kids being present. And what I mean by approval is they said that will be a reimbursable meal, but we've been doing that from day one. If a parent showed up and the student was not present, it didn't matter. We still gave them the meal. And then another thing, as far as I can tell from the research I've done and talking with Aramark, I don't know of any other district in this area that is providing 2 hot meals to their students. One final thing with food service, I found out today that they're starting to develop a shortage of packaging, and Aramark knew that that might be an issue going in because that is a high demand. So I talked with Ms. Lewis about it today, and I'll let her speak to this more in her presentation, but she will reach out to our community members that are vendors in the area that could help us out with the packaging of the meals. But I'm making you aware of this, so you may see, you know, day to day, you may see different types of packaging because we're practically using whatever is available. And I'll answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Reeves. Are there any comments or questions?
This is Gary Gracia.
Okay,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Gracia.
Is that Mia?
It was LaTanya, but I'll speak after you.
Okay. No, okay. So the first question I have is there, how long can we keep up with an approximation of 50,000 meals for, are we good? I mean, is this something that we don't see a problem in week 2 or you know, how long can we do this?
Mr. Gracia, I asked Aramark that very question before this really even got started, is how long could we sustain? And they don't see any issue with getting any product. The only product that they had concern with was the packaging piece, and that's starting to show up now. But as far as feeding, they don't see any issue.
Okay, that's
Is
great.
Mr. Reeves, is there any financial strains that a district might have or CISD might have for this?
Well, all of these meals are reimbursable. So it's really no different than how we would be feeding if school was in session.
Okay. I would like to, if somehow, just because I'd have a couple packaging things that might be able to help you with, I would love to text you and see if there's any way I can help you with that. So I'd like to communicate after the meeting if at all possible.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gracia. Dr. Mayfield, did you have a comment?
Yes, and it's very similar to what Mr. Gracia was asking about supplies. Mine, besides the food, was about the other types of supplies like gloves. And because I know we have volunteers that have been supporting, are we good with everything else that goes along with preparing these meals and the other supplies that are needed for this to happen, besides the food itself?
Yes, ma'am. For right now, we've had no issues with gloves, both with the gloves that Aramark uses, which are different than, say, the gloves that you would for cleaning, like ABM would use. But both supplies have not been an issue, and they don't foresee one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there other comments or questions? Well, I'd just like to say kudos to the food service staff and Mr. Reeves. Y'all have done a great job, and the volunteers that have gone every day to give out that many meals to our students. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kirshner.
Yes, Ms. Davis. And now just to talk about the community outreach and how we're using our community volunteers and organizations to serve our students during this time is Ms. Betty Lewis.
President Davis, trustees, Dr. McFarland, the support from our community has been phenomenal. As Randy Reeves mentioned, last week we served over 2,500 meals. This week we're about to double that. We have 16 sites, 12 campuses, and 4 apartment complexes. We added sunset point on Monday. And as of yesterday, speaking to Mr. Reeves, we're serving those 4 apartment complexes approximately 1,600 meals. I just wanted to again thank the trustees for the volunteering that they have provided for us, but we also have had over 200 volunteers from across the district, as well as community and faith-based outreach for our community. So at this point, the only thing that we're working on, as Mr. Reed mentioned, is the shortage of packaging. Got with Ms. Trina Harris today and her department with the counselors. We'll be reaching out to the local businesses asking for bags. We're not asking parents and households to donate bags. We're going to ask the businesses. So at this point, we're putting that plan together to help support Airmark and packaging. Do you have any questions?
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions?
I just wanted to clarify that we met 25,000, right, and 50,000 this week, or we were reporting a different figure?
Yeah, 25,000 last week, and we're about to hit 50,000 this week.
Thank you.
That is amazing. Okay, any other comments or questions? Well, I want to thank all of you for this very, very informative information and reporting. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record, the work you have done up to this point is very, very impressive. And Dr. McFarland and your staff, you've done an amazing job. So thank you very much. We'll move now to agenda item 3.0, future action item, resolution directing temporary changes in academic achievement, class ranking policy, EIC local. Dr. McFarland.
Madam President and board members, we are bringing this resolution forward tonight to address some of the issues that Dr. Berry spoke about. Ms. Kunchik will share this future action item. Ms. Kunchik?
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, respected board members, and Superintendent Dr. McFarland. This evening, I'm presenting to you as a future action item an update of the development of a resolution to address local policy under the umbrella of academic achievement and student activities that align to Goal 1 Thriving Students. It's so very appropriate. I'm so proud to come off the heel of the district leaders who have just presented on the topics that each of their committees and principals, led by principals also, that are discussing those items that relate to our current state. It's evidently a team effort to continue to run schools non-traditionally and with that comes the need for us to review policy that must be evaluated to ensure equitable opportunities to our students. So consequently, the district is in current review, evaluation, and development of an all-encompassing resolution to board policy in the area of academic achievement and student activities. In this resolution, the board can then resolve to delegate the authority to our superintendent to suspend, not change, policy pertaining to academic achievement and student activities for a period of time and to address the current needs through the prescribed and board-approved resolution. EIC Local has been at the forefront of the committee discussions as led by Dr. Berry, and she so eloquently presented to us earlier, as it addresses class rank, valedictorian, and salutatorian, and GPA, and for all students, but more specifically for our graduating seniors. We have already received verbiage from our attorney to address EIC Local. However, the all-encompassing resolution is for us to have the intent to present to you. The final resolution will be to ensure that all areas are addressed, such as, but not limited to, retention and promotion, grading, class rank, eligibility for contest competitions and other student activities, final grades for calculation of GPA. And before I close, I would like to add that I've been in review of resolutions in other districts, and so far I've delved deeply into 15 districts, and only 4 of those districts have presented resolutions in the academic area. Although I know we're all focused on that, and that's very telling because I think that our, as you heard earlier from our presenters, that our work is where it needs to be in ensuring that we're making decisions in these resolutions that are equitable for all of our students. So therefore, this concludes my presentation as a future action item of a resolution to address academic achievement and student activities. I'd like to thank you all for your guidance and your leadership as a board, and of course our superintendent. And at this time, I'm glad to take any questions from you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, so the one thing I think is worth noting is that you said it would suspend and not change.
That is correct. Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Right. And
okay.
Also, Board President, and I'll ask Ms. Alexander, Attorney Alexander, as a point of clarification, but what appears to be happening in districts across the state is that resolutions are being passed in lieu of having to change policy. And so what we're suggesting is that this comprehensive resolution would address multiple areas where our practice would be in conflict with policy. And so, Alexander, could you clarify resolutions versus change in policy to make sure I'm interpreting that correctly?
Yes, thank you, Superintendent. Yes, when you have a resolution specifically because this is an emergency situation, and we have to be able to move quickly and not be able to have to actually go to the board to continue the daily business of the district. These types of resolutions that will delegate authority to the superintendent or his designee will allow him to move efficiently to just basically handle matters that he would normally be able to do. But this would allow him to not actually change the policy, but it can temporarily suspend what's happening so that he could do his daily work. And so, especially when it's impossible for certain things to happen, some things have to be suspended, because if you have to meet if there's been certain waivers that are been placed by the TEA that allows for the district to waive the standardized testing and things like that. Those are some things that policy requires, but will have to be temporarily suspended just because of given the circumstances. And so this comprehensive resolution will allow the superintendent to do so.
Okay, thank you.
And our plan, board, would be to walk through at the next time we meet, if we're prepared at that point, would be to walk through each individual area of the resolution to make sure that you know where we are and where we would fall on that area if it came up. And so just to share with you tonight as a future action item, so that if you have a strong opinion or feeling about any portion of it, that if you'll give me feedback on that before we bring back the final resolutions for your approval, I would appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions on that item? Okay, we'll move now to agenda item 3.1, future action item, Food Service Management Company request for proposals, RFP. Dr. McFarland.
Also, Madam President and board members, as you all are aware, we are in the process or should be in the process of considering food service management companies. And so I will ask Ms. Powers to give us kind of an update of where we are with that process. Ms. Powers.
Thank you, Dr. McFarland. Good evening, President Davis, Dr. McFarland, members of the board. Today, I'm going to address the RFP status for the Food Service Management Company. As you know, the Texas Department of Agriculture is the state agency that administers oversight on behalf of the USDA for public school K through 12 food and child nutrition programs in the state of Texas. Airmark Food Service Company is our current food service management company for Crowley ISD, and they have been doing a tremendous job, a great job during these unforeseen times. So I really appreciate them. Airmark's contract with the district will be expiring on June the 30th of 2020. As such, the district has issued and advertised a food service management company RFP, which is 15-088-25. There was a total of 42 vendors that were notified via email regarding the bid advertisement. The list of the 42 qualified vendors was actually provided by TDA. The bid was advertised in the Star Telegram as well as posted to the CISD purchasing website. Originally, the proposals were to be received until the bid closed on March the 27th of 2020. However, earlier this morning, it was brought to our attention by a demographic study. The enrollment number shows an increase for Crowley ISD. The information that we received from the demographer gives us an estimated distribution of students from the 4 intermediate campuses to the 4 middle schools, including Richard Alley Middle School. This information is very important to food service companies while they are preparing their RFP responses, because it actually impacts their staffing and the campus revenue estimates, which will ultimately be reflected in their guarantee to the district. The RFP has now been extended to April the 3rd, 2020 at 2 p.m. And this bid closing will be completed virtually via Zoom with all of the bidders for this RFP. Also, I wanted to touch bases that on March the 19th of 2020, prior to the shelter-in-place mandate, we did hold a pre-proposal meeting. During this meeting, the present vendors had the opportunity to complete a walkthrough with myself, Randy Reeves, and Leon Fisher. During the walkthroughs, we visited 3 campuses, which were June Davis Elementary, Summer Creek Middle School, and North Crowley 9th grade. We allowed those vendors that were present to have 15 minutes at each site to walk through the cafeteria areas and to take pictures necessary in order to generate any questions they may have prior to the question deadline. There was a total of 5 companies that were present during our pre-proposal meeting, which included the CISD walkthroughs. The deadline for all questions by the vendors that were to submit was on March the 21st of 2020 via email. Vendors were advised that only written questions would be binding. We have provided a total of 5 addendums to the vendors in order to answer any questions that they may have had. These addendums have also been posted to the purchasing website just in case a vendor cannot locate the email. We also have a selection committee in place for this RFP once the bid closes. And this selection committee is composed of directors, executive directors, and principals within CISD. All information thus far has been shared with this committee for transparency. I actually provided them with the link to a Google Drive, which has everything that I've just discussed. The primary determinant for the fiscal impact of this proposal is the guaranteed return as submitted by the Food Service Management Company. The guaranteed return submitted by the current Food Service Management Company for the last 3 years is as follows. From 2017 to 18, it was $962,265. From 2018 to 19, it was $922,925. And from 2019 to 20, the amount was $910,000. The reasoning the guaranteed return is lower in the 2019-2020 school year is because the district's current Food Service Management Company included universal free breakfast for all students. So upon the completion of the evaluation process for this RFP, the district's administration's intention will be to submit a recommendation for the selection of the new Food Service Management Company to the Board of Trustees during an April 2020 board meeting. And if you all have any questions, I will answer them for you at this time.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions?
I did want to ask questions. I know that these are very unique times as far as just, with all the distancing and restrictions. But with regards to the selection committee, was there no type of community participation or solicitation, rather it be student, parent, or stakeholder beyond the staff?
Well, what we did was we looked at the campuses. We wanted more feedback from the actual principals because they pretty much know what the students are needing in the campuses at that time, on top of, including any like directors or executive directors. Leon and Randy have been a great help with this whole process thus far. And so, of course, if anyone has any questions, they may, inquire from me. But of course, the cutoff for the vendors was the 21st of March. So I think by gathering information from the principals and the executive directors and so forth, I think it gives us more of an idea of what we should be looking for in order to house in these cafeterias moving forward.
Ms. Powers, may I jump in just for a second?
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, Trustee Hall, there was consideration given to having people external to the organization, if you will, parents and students, as a part of the evaluation. However, when this COVID-19 pandemic struck, we were not able to secure any input for the evaluation committee, if you will, from the parent and or students. We can look at that because our committee won't convene, until next week. The week of April the 6th, I believe it is. So we may be able to, if there are people that might be willing to participate in it, we may be able to seek someone. But at that point in time, we were not able to identify anybody.
I appreciate your response, but I guess my issue being involved in this process in a different district, I get the limitations that we have and the obstacles and barriers that are in front of us with this. But I feel like if this isn't a very comprehensive process with regards to, I've been an administrator. I can tell you what my students have told to me, but at the same time, I don't think it's anything better than receiving the opinions of students. And the people who actually be, purchasing the product on a daily basis. So of course, this is your lane, Dr. McFarland and team, but I would really like a lot of consideration given to how we can make this a more collaborative process and also an objective process moving forward. So that's my commentary, and I'll leave it with that.
All right, and Ms. Hall, I definitely hear what you're saying. And so what I do believe though is what we're extending is the opportunity for food service companies to submit the proposal. And I believe the selection process will occur shortly thereafter. So if I hear what you're saying, we want to make sure that we have included all the voices in that selection process, like all the voices of the different categories, whether it's students, parents, and other campus folks, as well as district people in that selection process. Is that what you're saying?
And I guess what I'm also saying is I know that we have different restrictions and I don't know what they will be beyond the April 3rd date. But what I'm saying is I would like as much energy with regards to, developing the RFP and things on that nature that we do on our side to be innovative in creating solutions for students and whomever for them to actually be able to do a demonstration so that we don't fall back to what we know, but actually are very deliberate in measuring what's really going to be best for our students and our community for the next 5 years. That's all. Gotcha.
We definitely would take that input and adjust our process based on that. Makes perfect sense. And so Ms. Powers and Mr. Fisher, let's kind of discuss how we can include input from those different categories.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Are there other comments or questions?
Yeah, this is Ryan Ray. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What's the timeline on that? And maybe you mentioned it earlier, but when is the recommendation going to have to be made?
Well, I can tell you, according to TDA, we actually have to have the food service management company approved by the board, and we have to submit the information to them no later than April the 30th. So we were going to try to get everything taken care of, you know, so as far as reviewing the bids and going through the numbers and the guarantee and everything with the selection committee before the last board date in order to make sure that we meet the deadline. And when we originally started this process before the whole COVID-19, we were originally going to be bringing the selection or the recommendation to the board during the call board meeting at the beginning of April. But because of everything that has happened, we've had to unfortunately push dates back or push them forward. So, you know, we're trying our best to make sure that we're meeting the deadlines, and that also we're hearing all the voices and getting, you know, all the concerns answered so that we can move forward and we can make a great decision on who's going to be the next food service management company for Crowley ISD.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Mr. Ray?
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to have students involved in the process. I just don't know how it's feasible in that timeline unless there's some kind of, you know, the board of education comes up with something, you know, different.
I can definitely I'll get with Randy and Mr. Fisher and maybe even Anthony Kirshner to talk about possibly putting out a survey maybe to capture some information that we can take into the selection committee and we can discuss that as well. I think that would probably be the quickest way to capture any information, you know, from the public in order to decipher on our next steps on moving forward. I'll definitely reach out to those.
I have a question too, along the same lines with what Ms. Hall and Mr. Ray just mentioned, and you just said it too, the survey. Is there a survey that is conducted each year with the food vendor? And if so, who gets the survey, who completes it, and then what do we do with that information once we know what the results are?
So I have not been advised of a survey each year. As you are just to throw the information out there, whenever these bids for the food service management company goes out, it's good for 5 years, but it's within 1 year increments. And each time that, you know, like for this term, this bid will be good for 5 years once we award it, but it'll be in 1 year increments. So right before the beginning of the very next year, we have to bring it to the board to, you know, provide you with updates as far as the guarantee return, you know, the progress that we've made with the company. We'll bring that, and then of course a vote has to be provided by the board. And once we receive the vote, if the board agrees to it, then we have to send that information over to TDA. I absolutely love the idea of having a survey. I think that will capture information not only for us when we're going through the selection process, but maybe even to provide feedback to the vendor themselves. So I don't have a problem with doing a survey. Maybe we can open it up for, I don't know, maybe 3 to 4 days, and then take that information and use it wisely.
Ms. Powers, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
And I'm just thinking on the cuff, and of course, is definitely y'all's decision and wheelhouse. But there could be a possibility, maybe, with us distributing meals to families on a daily basis, twice a day, I mean, why couldn't we set up a site that we did whoever our vendors are and they each took a day and those participating families could provide actual feedback with regards to the food and the presentation? Just a thought.
Well, I know with this particular bid, there's a lot of red tape that comes with it simply because it's coming from, we have to utilize the bid documentation that comes from the Texas Department of Agriculture, and we can't necessarily bend anything other than what they have in the document itself, or they will kick it back. Before we even advertise the bid, you know, we had to download, it's a long document, and they tell you up front that you cannot make any updates to their particular bid. So if it's not included in their bid, we can't add it per se, but I can definitely check with Randy to see if that's an option. I haven't foreseen that in my past years of being in purchasing when it comes to bidding out. Now, I know that originally before the COVID-19, we did want to set up site visits, but because of these mandates that we have, the shelter in place and all of that, it kind of, you know, threw a wrench in our plans. And so now we're having to move on to a different plan to see what we can do.
Are you saying that demonstrations aren't a part of it?
We originally were going to shortlist, and then we were going to allow those that are shortlisted to provide us, you know, normally they do, I would say like a show. So basically like they would, we would go to maybe one or two of their sites, and then they would do demonstration. They would let us see what's going on at their sites that they're currently in that have already been awarded, and we can see their food that's being, you know, produced and so forth. But because of what's going on now, you know, unfortunately with the schools closed and everything, we don't have that option at the moment. But
it also,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so Ms. Powers, what I can do too is I do believe that TEA is going to come out with additional information relative to the bid process and child nutrition. And so what I like to do is to get more information, and then next week be able to bring back to the board just information that we received directly from TA. And I'm also going to ask Attorney Alexander to see if there's any kind of flexibility that we have, because really a key part of any kind of selection of a food service company would be to go and visit other districts where the you know, service person is in place and all that. And we of course can't do that right now. We probably won't be able to do that for the remainder of the year. So it may be a situation where an attorney I need you to kind of find out whether we could do whether there's any kind of flexibility that we could be given within this process. And that flexibility may mean we stay with the group that we are for another year, and then we make a decision, or it could be that decision is delayed. But there's just a lot of unknowns as it relates to the process right now. And so what we're operating on right now is what we know. And what I'm hearing from the board is that you like to have more input and like to have presentation so we can actually see the product that we're getting. That's what I'm hearing. So we can make that provision.
No,
right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll expect additional information next week?
Yes, I'll definitely give you some information next week for sure.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and Ms. Hall, if you have additional concerns, I guess to reach out to you, Dr. McFarland, so that as you're doing the investigation and asking the questions, they can be asked at that time?
I'll wait. I mean, I've basically, you know, expressed my concerns, and I know Dr. McFarland's already said that he'll address them. So I'll just wait for our update next week. I don't have anything to do as sidebar.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Are there other comments or questions?
So
all I was going to say is that I think, yeah, if we could just go ahead for another year and then do a more next year. That's probably the way to play it, because this isn't really the time to be dealing with that.
Okay. Okay.
We will definitely
Okay.
look into it.
Okay. Thank you. So we're going to move on now and let the record show we did not have any speakers to sign up to address the board. So at this time, the board will adjourn to executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071, private consultation with the board's attorney. Other participants may remain on this phone line, and the board will return to this phone line immediately following executive session.
Madam President, unless you have any items, I don't have any items for executive session.
Oh, okay. All right. So then I guess we're going to adjourn this meeting at 7:35 p.m.